This is BBC News, the headlines at 12 noon. A legal setback for the government over high-speed rail, but ministers say the project will still go ahead. Good afternoon. Ministers say a legal ruling on their plans for a high-speed rail link between London and the north of England represents a significant victory and means the project can go ahead without delay. The High Court criticised the process to decide compensation for those living along the route, but rejected a number of other objections raised by campaigners against the multi-billion-pound scheme. Well, let's go to the High Court now and talk to our correspondent Mike Sargent, who is there for us. The government seems to be saying that they're going to press ahead, but we heard the minister earlier saying that they will have to rerun part of the consultation.
Yes, they'll have to rerun the consultation, but ministers say that will not delay the project. They were facing a whole series of legal challenges on a number of different issues about the rationality of the announcement on high-speed rail that was made last year, about the environmental impact and about whether people were consulted on the route. And on the issue of compensation is the one issue out of 10 broad areas identified by the government that opponents of high-speed rail have won on. Well, let's talk to Richard Houghton, who represents the HS2 Action Alliance. So, just one of the areas that you've got victory on today.
Well, we've put in two judicial reviews, one on the environment and one on compensation. You say just, it's a tough call winning one. We won the compensation. We've just heard from the judge that the entire compensation consultation will be rerun, and it'll include our property bond. He's also said that we have the right to go ahead and appeal the environmental judicial review.
The government is saying that the upshot of today's ruling is that high-speed rail goes ahead and there won't be any further delay.
I think the important thing is not to believe the spin coming out of the DfT. There are two things that are worth bearing in mind. One, the compensation consultation is important for the 300,000 plus householders who are on the route. They deserve a fair compensation for the property blight that the line may bring them. And secondly, we are appealing the environmental judicial review. If we were to win that, they would have to run a full environmental audit on not only the existing line, but also the viable alternatives, and that would certainly take much longer, so that would indeed delay the project.
But overall, you know, these were 5 different cases being brought here. The government said 10 broad areas of challenge. It's not the result quite that you were hoping for, is it?
Well, from us, in terms of consultation around compensation, it's absolutely the perfect result. We couldn't have got any better. No, obviously we would have wanted to win the environmental judicial review, but as I say, we've just been given the go-ahead by the judge to appeal, so he's fairly clear there are grounds for that appeal.
So they're going to rerun this consultation on compensation. That could be quite an expensive process.
Actually, rerunning the compensation consultation, if it covers all of the line, will be expensive. But again, you know, if you do it unlawfully, you have a problem. I mean, the judge summed it up as saying it was so unfair that it was unlawful. I can't put it better myself.
Okay, so according to the government's timetable, we're still some 13 years away from anyone setting foot on a high-speed train going from London up towards Birmingham. Where are we after today, after everything we've heard at the High Court today in terms of that timetable?
Well, I think where we are today is there are two things worth mentioning. One, the hybrid bill has already been pushed back to beyond the next election, so they're already running late. Part of that is they're already saying they're overspent. In terms of the further timetable, I think, as I say, it depends on whether the environmental appeal is successful, at which point that'll push it back further.
So what's your gut feeling about that? The environmental appeal was dismissed by the judge today, so what would be the grounds for appeal?
I think the legal advice we've got is that we have a solid case. The fact that the judge gave us grounds to appeal indicates that he believes there is areas that we could appeal on. So we don't believe we'd go forward, or he'd recommend that without good solid grounds. We obviously have to raise funds. It's important to remember that we're a volunteer organisation, and all of our legal funds have been raised by individual donations from people up and down the line.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Richard Houghton. So the government calling this a landmark victory, but as we hear their opponents of high-speed rail think that there could be other days in court ahead.